All right, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Let me make sure all things are working. If you could comment below, let me know where you're from, and then how long you have been wanting to become a coach or step into the coaching world. I'd love to hear more of your story in the comments below. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Denise Walsh. I am a clinical psychologist turned dream life coach, and I now help you become an excellent coach and build a thriving online business, doing what you love, making an impact, and making a life, having more time freedom as you can build your business really from anywhere in the world on your times table, right? Doesn't that sound like fun? Like that's what I truly love about my business is I get to pick my boys up from school and schedule calls when it works for me. And like my business works around my life versus my life working around my business. Now, in the year-long certification program that I offer, there's about 6 months where we practice and utilize coaching skills, where we learn and practice. We shift within ourselves and learn the skills ourselves. And so we're like blowing through our own personal glass ceiling. So we become an excellent person. We shift through our limiting beliefs and we learn skills that are going to help shift others. And then in the second 6 months, we really focus on your program or your business, or, you get to market 90-day U-turn, or you writing your book, or whatever the case may be, because I don't just want you to learn the skills. I want you to do something with it. But here is what I have found, and let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced this too. A lot of times people get so stinking excited about helping others. They are in their zone of genius when they're working with someone. They're a great listener. They give good advice. They are, taking people somewhere. They're like the person in the crowd that everybody comes to. But as a coach, we have to also put on our CEO hat. And we have to become business CEOs, salespeople, marketing. Like there's a lot to owning your own business, more than just, it's not just being a great coach, right? You also need to be a great marketer. You also need to learn how to put yourself out there so you actually get clients that come into your business. Now, one thing I want you to know, if this sounds scary to you, put like, I'm scared in the comments below. Just know that it's certainly a learning curve, but once you learn the skills, you've learned the skills. And that's what I really appreciate about entrepreneurship, is that there's always room for growth, but it compounds and starts to create a snowball effect, and your business starts to create momentum year after year after year after year. And so the next guest that I have is going to talk with us a bit about her growing pains in the first few years of business and what she wished she knew when she was starting her business a few years ago. So Marlise is here from Middle Tennessee. Yay. Chrissy's here from New Hampshire. Patricia from Oklahoma. She said 10 years she's been brewing this coaching business, but she is here. And I think what's so cool is when you say yes to that dream, like the world starts to shift around you and the how starts to show up. And so as a community, we get to keep ourselves in our own game by showing up to things like this and our coaching cohort calls and our CEO workshops and all of the activities we have within the certification program to keep you going, because it will always be easier to revert back to what we deem as normal, right? We learn all about this self-sabotage in 90-day U-turn. So with that being said, I am going to bring on our next guest. What I love about Amy's story is that she joined a dream board party I did several years ago. We got to chat a bit in the breakout session, and she raised her hand and she said, hey, I've got questions. I wonder about how to do this with my business. I'm not sure about this. And she was loud within that program. And so it let me know that she was really serious about her business. And so I reached out to her afterwards and she joined the business mastermind I was running at the time. And then she upgraded to become a Dream Life certified coach. And now she has stepped away from her position at the school and is now part-time at the school, pursuing not only her health and wellness business, along with personal training and all the things that go with that, but also her occupational therapy business. And so she is truly an entrepreneur through and through. So big Dream Life welcome to Amy Elias. And the crowd goes wild.
Oh,
Yay! Thank you so much for being here, Amy. I'm so proud of you. I love our story because you came to a workshop I was doing several years ago, the Dream Board event. I actually did it yesterday with some ladies here in 2023 as we gear up to 2024. And you came several years ago and you asked questions. You raised your hand, you were engaged, and it showed me that you were serious about getting a business started, which led one thing to another, right? And so here we are. You are a certified Dream Life coach and you have several businesses and programs that you're running. So tell us a bit about how you were feeling a few years ago when you joined that Dream Board party and like where you felt then, and then we'll move into now.
sure. So when I joined that party, I felt broken, stuck, just drained. Wasn't sure what I was doing. Did I even belong anymore? Did I do the right thing, like going to school? I just felt kind of dead. And then in the class, I was paired with some amazing people, and the one young lady we actually still keep in contact with. But throughout, I just kept getting this nudge like, Amy, you are made for more. You can do this. Ask a question, ask about the business, ask, what's burning in your heart. And I remember raising my hand, being so nervous, like, oh my gosh, what's she going to say to me? And, that was probably the best moment and trajectory for my life. Like, not only was my spark at that time put back in, I had no idea really where it was going, but it was like, wow, life was just spoken into me. And yes, I have a purpose. Yes, I do have value. Now we're going to figure out the next step. You don't have to do this alone or be stuck. And from that point, I just feel like, well, from after that class, I went into your business program and then to a Dream Life certification. And I just feel like everything took off. My creative juices started flowing again. I designed a planner. I designed a journal. And then I think it was just a 3 months time, I had my course like done. And I think it was maybe after that, a few more months, and I launched my beta group at that time.
Mhm.
And it felt amazing. I didn't want to stop there. Now, there are bumps along the way, but it really, having the right people, knowing where you want to go, just made a difference in my life. I went from stuck and broken to this dreamer again that could speak life into other people. And I felt like my whole reason why I was an OT was to serve and be creative, and that came back. And so that was amazing.
I would love for anybody in the comments if you've ever felt that way. And I feel like I look like a ghost and I don't know why. The lighting is like super bright. Um, but anyway, if you've ever felt that way, like just feeling this restlessness, this stuckness, this like, and you were in a job, you were in your career, you went to school, you did all the things, and then you were like, is this it? Is
Mhm.
this all I'm gonna do for the next 30 years? And I know I felt like that as a clinical psychologist working in community mental health. I wondered, is this all there is for me? And so my thought is if you're around the same people doing the same thing and everybody's feeling like that, you probably aren't going to get your spark relit or even have another option be presented to you because you're all in that same boat. But when you joined the workshop, you were like, oh, look at these guys. There's dreamers. They're excited. They love what they're doing. There are options outside of this box that I'm living in. And that in itself can give you back some energy.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like the whole reason why the program came about, and I feel like it was easy for me to initially develop. Now, have I made changes? Have I added? Absolutely. It's always a continuing, revolving door as you're growing and learning. But I think what made it so easy was I started with my why and who was I connecting with? And the person I was connecting with was me. It was that broken, feeling unworthy, not loved, not enough girl, woman, and where does she want to go? So that's really how my program got started. And then from there, I just kept digging deeper and like looking at my yuck and how and what I know people around me were feeling.
Yeah.
And it stemmed from there.
So part of the certification program is you get to experience 90 Day U-Turn as a client, right? So you get to first experience your own growth. And it sounds like that was a really big part of the process for you is we don't just jump into creation, but we can, and then we'll revert back to our old patterns, right? So as you get to kind of clear your own cobwebs and level up your thinking, I wonder if that makes the implementation that much easier.
Yes, absolutely. Because you grow more in yourself too. You're like, oh my gosh, these are some limiting beliefs that I put on myself. This is where I can see that sabotage. And now I have the steps and the tools to break from that faster. And then I feel like from that, you can then grow into your own, value and mold, your character of how you're going to go about
Yeah.
um,
Well,
situations.
entrepreneurship is like a problem solver on steroids. Like we say, it's a personal development program with compensation attached, right? In
Yes.
fact, I was listening to a lawyer recently, like give an interview about a case he just did, and he said, there were so many times I wanted to give up. They were throwing everything at the wall at us and motion after motion and all these things. And I thought, that's entrepreneurship, is keeping yourself in your own game, because it's not going to be a straight line every time. But when you're doing what you love, it's worth it. And so I'd love to hear a bit about some of the speed bumps you've had along the way, or maybe lessons you've learned, or things you wish you knew when you were getting started.
Sure, absolutely. That's a really good question to begin with. I feel like to get me really started when I was designing and thinking about what I want to do was who I wanted to follow. So I was trying to think of who's doing what I'm doing or similar. And then I just started following them because I know you said this before too. There's no reason to recreate the wheel. Like, what are they doing well and how can I learn from them? So I started at that point. And then from that, yes, there were still bumps because I have to find myself. Like, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be the next Denise. I'm not going to be another Dean Grazinosi, but I'm going to be Amy in those same flares. So I feel like within that, I had to learn some stumbling blocks of some of the business things of how to scale. What were my systems going to be? In the same point as I was learning that, I also didn't want to get stuck. So that stuff, as any new business owner, can make you paralyzed, like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. So I just figured out, okay, what can I do where I'm at, whether it be some free tools that I already have, whether it just be using Google Drive, where can I start as I'm learning how to do a funnel or an email sequence. I know AI is really big, so I started diving more into Chat GPT. How can I utilize some of these tools to help that email sequence? I can still be myself and use that to work smarter, not harder all the time. But I would say a lot of the stumbling blocks in the beginning was just knowing that I can start somewhere. I don't have to have it all figured out. The same thing when I launched my program. I don't have to know how all 9 weeks were going to be done. Just get it started, and you learn from there. So the first one was just that system part of not getting scared. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay,
yeah, go
hold
ahead.
on, hold on, hold on. Well,
Yes.
you just said a whole lot.
Yes.
Like, I want to break that down a little bit. So a few things I heard is, who am I? Who do I want to serve? Who do I want to talk to? Who is my ideal client? Like, there are some business basics that we want to figure out before we even create the program, you know? And
Mhm.
so part of you had to say, what type of client do I want to work with? And what do I want to teach them? And how do I want to serve them? And so getting your hands into what other people are doing is a really great way to do research. And
Mhm.
again, you're not duplicating what they're doing, but you are learning, and you're saying, is this something that I could do too? And so there's a lot of different coaches that have free challenges, that have that are posting free content on YouTube and Instagram and things all of the time. And so just doing some research and really figuring out what is out there that resonates with you can then give you that place, like the foundation to start from, right?
Mhm.
And then once you know your ideal client, you kind of start figuring out who your niche is and how you help your niche. Then you get to figure out what program you offer, because we can have educational and inspiring content all day that leads people nowhere, right? We got to say, I can help you with this one problem. Here's my package. Here's my program. Here's my thing that you can sign up for that will help you get the result you want, right? So then we get to figure out and create the program. And the program is then what we scale. Once we know the program is awesome, we've gotten, like you said, the beta people through, you've gotten testimonies. Of course, we shift and things always, but like once you know that what you have is stinking awesome, then you get to scale it and shout it from the rooftops and figure out the systems along the way. But I think that those three things, like you can't scale if you don't really have a program. And you have to know who you are and who you're serving before you really create the program. And so I think that's a beautiful first step. Well, that's a lot of steps. That's not just 3 steps right there, but that's a really good, like, I don't know what the word is, progression of how it goes from idea to actually execution. And I don't know that anyone can figure it out on their own.
No, and that's what I was going to say too. I feel like no matter where you are in the journey, even after I have, my program created and I did the beta group and I'm running another one, or I've done a couple other ones, having that community and still having a coach is so crucial because, like you said, when you have those stumbling blocks or those questions, it's nice to talk to someone who's either already been there or maybe they're going through it too, and you can problem solve together. And I feel like that has helped me not stay stuck or start going backwards into my old ways. It keeps that light lit under me. Because there are going to be times where you're going to be like, wow, this is going to be too hard. Am I really supposed to be doing this? And that's just not true. That's what they want you to think. So I would say that has been tremendous. And sometimes if some people they think about, oh, where's this community? Where's this group? It could just be your best friend. Like you can run things off them if that's where you are right now. It doesn't have to be something really big. I mean, small steps lead to some great action.
Absolutely. All right. So and I think you said that was that whole thing was the first, the first lesson or the first tip that you had. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2 is just staying consistent and not being afraid to put yourself out there. So over the last 2 years, I've been able to put myself in more events. I've been doing more groups, talking, speaking engagements. I'm just anywhere and everywhere I can be present, I'm going. So for me lately, most people know me for movement. I'm a Revelation Wellness fitness instructor. So I go and move and I get to add that self-improvement along with their moving. We talk a lot about self-development. And I use a lot of different tools, whether it's dancing, whether it's weights, whether it's drumsticks, whether it's a mom group of strollers. I'm tailoring it to whoever I'm moving that day. But I'm just getting out there. I'm letting them know that I am open for business. Here's what I do. And I'm not just a one thing. Like this one thing opens up into so many other avenues. And I think you said that before, like once you can get a person in to know what you're about and what you're going to help them with, you can draw them into other avenues. Yeah. And so that was my second thing, just really showing up and getting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So consistently showing up, but then also consistently saying yes to whatever opportunity is presented. And because of that, you have been able to connect with gyms in your area, and you're building your personal or your occupational therapy business and your coaching and movement business and all these things. So you've got several ways that people can work with you, and you just networking and getting out in your community and letting people know what you have to offer. You never know who's going to know somebody who needs what you have. And I think that that's just a really great reminder, is consistently online, but also consistency in your neighborhood. Get to lunch meetings, network with BNI groups, like go places or join local Facebook groups where they meet up. I just joined a Grand Rapids women's business group and they do random meetups, because it's important that we get out from behind our desk and into the real world, because the like, know, and trust factor can
Yes.
grow exponentially when you meet in person.
Yeah, that I feel like then that's where authenticity comes too. Like
Mhm.
we can see everybody's post. We can even do this, but sometimes just meeting and that connection, that hug, it really does say and speak volumes. And I feel like that has helped me as well. Like I'm so glad for this because you can connect to someone in California or, Canada. But whenever you can also be live, I feel like other magic happens then too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that's two. What about three?
The third, the third one for me that I have learned is not only what you're doing, but to keep creating and improving yourself. So by that, I'm constantly doing more professional development. I'm constantly trying to make myself better. How can, I do this aspect different? Um, in a business, I feel like when you feel like you have arrived, I feel like things are going to go backwards. Like you'll never arrive. Like we can always improve. Like we're just a work in progress all the time to get to the best version. And
Yeah.
so in my business, I'm just reminding myself that like, yes, you got this, but let's learn about this aspect a little better. Let's think about how you can elevate, even how you speak, how you present yourself to
Yeah.
different people.
So what's fascinating about that is it's like I'm sure you've heard Zig Ziglar say, right? Personal development is like bathing. We have to do it every day. Motivation is like bathing. We have to do it every single day. And so that's the same with our business. We have to keep learning, but you don't have to learn it all at the same time. And I think at the beginning, it can feel like a whole, like huge load of all these skills we don't quite know. I want to start a podcast. I want to write a book. I want to create a journal. I want to have a program. I want to have a Stripe account. Like, what does that even mean or whatever? So you don't have to know it all at the same time, but it's through that consistency that you start learning skills, and those skills compound in front of on top of each other. And so eventually you do have a good plethora of business skills that maybe you didn't have at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think you hit that. The key really big is that you just take one step and it keeps compounding because I feel like that's where we get stuck when we
Yeah.
are looking at the big picture. And that was me in the beginning. I was trying to dabble into everything and it was fun, but nothing was actually getting done. And to be honest, probably in the back of my mind somewhere, it was screaming, "This is too much. You're stressing me out." But you become almost like a master at one thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, I feel kind of comfortable in that, and you don't feel as bad going to the next step. So exactly what you said, like you just do one thing.
And I don't think it needs to take forever to learn.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think again, it can feel like such a mountain, but as you start taking steps, like what if you played around with Canva for 2 hours? I bet you'd learn a lot, right? Or, once I knew how to edit audio, it didn't take long to record a podcast and upload it. Things could become a lot easier. So that first initial learning curve can feel like a hurdle, but what we know is that sitting down, I call it butt glue, sitting down and getting through the first 6 minutes is the hardest. So I say do 20, set a timer for 20 minutes, get yourself into focus. You can kind of get into that flow mode and you can learn a lot in just a couple days. That, of course, then will continue to compound. So don't feel like, you guys, that it has to be a year of learning one thing. It really could just be a few weeks of really focusing on one specific skill or practicing it or that kind of thing.
And I think where I'm at now too, I love Canva and I love creating. That's where I know my flow is at. But I'm also learning to not be afraid to ask, to not outsource.
Yeah.
So now I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, you are great at this, and this brings joy to you. So do you mind helping me with that? And that allows me to still stay in my mode, that I'm not getting like more stressed or starting to hate that project. It's nice to know those skills, but then I love now I'm at the point where, hey, I want to help you out too. So how about you do this? And then I have more time, for my area. And I think sometimes we get afraid to ask for help, but my
Yeah.
advice is to not. It's okay.
Yeah. At the beginning, it feels like we're a solopreneur, right? We're like, let me talk to customer service. Why, hello, customer service. Let me talk to the sales team. And you're like all the hats. But eventually you get to outsource some of the back end stuff. You can outsource some of the marketing stuff. You can outsource pieces of it. So you
Mhm.
get to do what you love, which is work with people, coach them, help them move. And, billing is to the VA.
Yes, yes. Anything with numbers, that's not me.
That's
And I
too
know
much for
that,
you.
and I'm okay with saying that.
So what would you say you are the proudest of over the past few years?
Well, I have two things that's like tied. I'm super proud of my program because after doing it a few times, it I can just see a lot of changes in people, the feedback that I get, and I feel like it's my baby. I get to watch people that were just like me. And so it holds a special place in my heart. And then the next thing that it equals that is just starting to be comfortable in my own skin to use my voice.
Mhm.
And I'm proud for that because I would always limit myself to be like, oh, no one cares to hear that. You don't have anything important to say. But I could say one thing another person might never connect to you, but they might be able to connect to my voice, and I could change them to then change like 10 other people. So I have to remember that it's just for the one. It doesn't matter if you have a million followers or 10 followers, like your voice is just as important as the other person. And if you speak from the heart, you're authentic, it goes a long way. And so I would say just to see that growth in myself with that program, I'm so proud, so proud.
Eh, Has your husband seen a difference in you?
Yes.
I have seen a difference in you over the past few years, just truly like blossoming and owning your strengths. And because of you being your best version, right, it overflows and impacts everybody else around you. So let's tell everybody your program. What is it called? And when are you opening it up next? And what is it about?
So my program is called the Freedom System to Weight Loss, and it's a 9-week program. And really, the first few weeks is just really knowing who you are, that identity piece that we were just talking about, because that's so crucial and important. And then the weight piece, yes, we have physical weight on the scale, but a lot of times that physical weight that we see on the scale is coming from a lot of different areas in our life. And so I broke those areas down and I help use the word freedom to name those areas. So we look at finances, relationships, energy. We look at elevation. So that's really within yourself that you discovered in that first week. Dreams, occupation, and movement. And so we break all those areas down. And really, what we're digging is that yuck, like what's holding back these certain areas? Who is in my environment? How am I renewing my mind? Where's my heart? How's it set? And so by the 9th week, you hit all those areas and we're really dreaming again. We're hitting your goals and we're finding that next plan for you. And so after the program, it's not done. You can either keep coaching with me. It's just like a mentorship where we just check in, or you can go through it again. But that's where we are right now in the program. I'm really helping you find your gold, that value and purpose that you bring. And so, yeah, I'm so stinking proud of it.
Yeah.
I
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, Amy, because there's a lot of people in this world who have a goal, who have a dream, who say they want something and then do nothing. But you have taken your idea and that like welling up that was brewing inside of your soul and said, all right, I've got to do something with it. And you have, and you've gotten it out into the world. And this is truly like the beginning, because once you have that program that you love, now it's about marketing and streamlining and sales and getting sales calls and, opening and closing and launch schedules and all these things that, now that you're done with like the creation part, you can spend time doing all of the marketing part.
Yes. And that's something too, even with the marketing, that I'm not afraid to outsource sometimes. Like I can get some stuff started, then I'm like, hey, I need your help with this. And because at first I'm like, no, I have to do it all. I have to be good at everything. But it's okay. It's all
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. So why do you think being a dream life coach has helped you achieve these goals?
It's, to be honest, I feel like without the without being the Dream Life coach in the program, I had that dream and it was great, but I needed that almost to believe in myself. Like I feel like when I was spoke about the program before, I was super excited about it, but now I live, breathe it. It's me. Like it's me. I have a different confidence because I know I have that community around me. Like I had that community around, like, yes, you got this. Even if they don't join it, they're like, hey, I'll get a text message. Hey, how was the class tonight? Like, what did you do? Like, how can I support and help you? Like, it's just a really good feeling knowing that you have that support and that there are other people trying to reach their dreams too. And we're just speaking life into one another. So I don't feel like I would be at the next level without that.
Yeah.
It's
I heard two things. I heard you had to blow through your own personal glass ceiling and truly believe in yourself. And I call it, aligning the dream life pathway, head, heart, feet. Do you know what you want? Do you believe it's possible? Do you know how to go get there? And the believe it's possible part sounds easy, but it's clearing the cobwebs. It's forgiveness. It's truly stepping into that self-image of who we want to be. And you can feel the difference once you're there, because you could have a no and it doesn't derail you, because you go, I know this is awesome. And I've seen it so many times that it's going to support and help the people that really want it and need it. And so you're like, are you supposed to be in my program? Are you supposed to be in my program? And that confidence draws in the right people. But then the other thing you mentioned was the community and accountability. And that's what makes it fun. Because again, we don't need to be in our offices by ourselves all day. Like we want to be building thriving businesses together in community. So we've got people to celebrate our wins with, get feedback from, and grow together. And it feels like you got that too.
Yeah, and I feel like too in the growing piece, since we're all growing in that community, sometimes like we help each other out. Like, hey, I love to develop content. Let me help you with this. Can you help me with the number part
Yeah.
or the order part? And so we're helping each other with that too as we're scaling and growing. And that's important too. I mean, we're in businesses to help one another, not to say, hey, I'm better than you and you mean nothing. Like that's if you're in for recheck that
Wrong
heart.
group. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing too. There's so many different niches in this world. There's so many people in this world that we're not in competition with each other. We
Yeah.
really have, everyone has room to grow and thrive. So anything else you want to add to anybody here who's has that like welling up in their heart, just like you did years ago, of like, all right, this isn't it. I'm ready for my next step. I just don't quite know what it is yet. What thoughts would you have for them? Uh-oh, did we lose her? Oh no. Okay, there you go. You were frozen for a minute, but I see you're back now.
Oh, so sorry. Um, I was just saying if for anyone to do it afraid, to take one small step and go for it, that you have someone there that's going to link arms and help you to the next step.
Yeah, do it afraid. That's right. That's perfect advice. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to go and the readiness will come.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Amy. Congratulations on the Freedom technique for weight loss, or the Freedom System. You guys check out Amy, like her, friend her on Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So you can be, if weight loss is something that you are interested in focusing on, you can get started with her next round and be connected with her on Facebook so you are aware of when that is. So if you're interested in becoming a Dream Life coach too, and if you've had this brewing and you know that you don't need to figure it out on your own, but you want to learn how to be a great coach and how to build a thriving business, comment coach below, and myself or one of the team will reach out to you to get a strategy session scheduled where we just talk through your goals, what you're looking for, and see if I can help. But my mission for this next year is to have 40 Dream Life coaches, and we are well on our way. So thank you, Amy, for being one of them, for saying yes to the adventure. And I'm so proud of what you've created and who you've been helping along the way.
Thank you.
Have an awesome day, you guys. And we'll see you next week.